like to begin the meeting in a vacation. I'd like to ask Commissioner Harrelson to lead us in prayer.
Lord, we thank you for your loving kindness. Thank you for your tender mercy. Bless each and every one here on tonight in a special way. Bless my leaders as we go forward. It's we ask in your name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams.
Present.
Commissioner Harrelson. Present. Commissioner Henderson. Commissioner Henry. Commissioner Isom.
Present.
Commissioner Jones.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats. Commissioner Singleton.
Present.
Mayor Muhammad.
Present.
You have form for me.
Is there a motion for the approval of the minutes of July 1, 2019? Motion made by Commissioner Harrelson, supported by Commissioner Singleton. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Yes.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yeah.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Is there a motion for the approval of accounts payable listing? Motion made by Commissioner Adams, supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Discussion. Chair recognizes Commissioner Isom.
I just was looking at the Hadley and Son Blonde Vote. One, that we contracted them, it's just not lawn here.
No, that has, Public Safety Director McGinnis spoke about last Wednesday. That's the trash pickup as well. So they are under an agreement with them to pick up trash as well.
Thank you. Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Two chairs. Manager, how long did it come?
That's 1 month. That is a month.
Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Isom.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson.
Yes.
Commissioner Henry. Commissioner Singleton.
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
No.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yeah.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
We do have a presentation regarding the health disparities. Dr. Benton, Inspector of Health, is here for that presentation. You have the floor.
Good evening.
Good evening.
So thank you, commissioners and members of the public for allowing me some time. Thank you. Hi there. Get started. So I thought I was later on the agenda. Apologize for running in late. So I wanted to share with you some of the findings. I think I came 3 years ago to share with you some of the findings of our community health needs assessment. And we're completing the next one. And what's really clear, how much time do I have? 5 minutes?
10 minutes.
10 minutes. What's really clear is that in order to address some of the health disparities we see in the community, we really have to focus on community development. So it's not rocket science. We have to focus on housing, transportation, workforce development, public safety. Typically, people think of those as separate from health. They are fundamental to health. But what I thought it was important to come to the communities to share with you what I found. So here is a map of Marion County. Do we have a pointer by any chance? No. Yeah, I want to be able to show this. This is a pointer.
Yep, we're ready.
The red one?
Yep.
Okay, so this is life expectancy in Benton, in Marion County. The darker areas are, the low life expectancy, and the lighter areas are high life expectancy. What I want you to see is that you can see there's a high concentration of low life expectancy in and around the city of Benton Harbor. Marion County, the average life expectancy is 77 years. For Michigan, it's 78. For the nation, it's 78.7. So the county is lower than the state and the nation. And in and around communities of Benton Harbor, the life expectancy rates are really very, very low. Here's another way of saying this. So we have, these are by census tracts. So we have the life expectancy of the lowest life expectancy, the 5 lowest, and the highest. And you can see of those 5, all of them are in or around Benton Harbor. All of the high life expectancies are in and around Stevensville, Shoreham, Lincoln Township. But what's really significant is I calculated the percentage of African Americans in each of these high tracts. 3 of the 5 high tracts are majority African American. And none of the high life expectancy tracts have a significant percentage of African Americans. So what this is telling me is something that we all know, but now we have the data that life expectancy follows racial lines in our communities. Here is the death rate. So when you get data like that, you have to kind of look at another set of data to see, is this consistent with the first set of data we found? So here we map death rates, and you can see again around Benton Harbor, there's relatively high death rates. The dark green means high death rates. In fact, there's a 3-fold difference in the county between the census tract with the highest death rate and the census tracts with the lowest death rates. Here's another table similar to the first one. It shows those census tracts with the highest death rates and those with the lowest death rates. You can see that 3 of the tracts with the highest death rates are in Benton Harbor. So that's 60% of the high death rate census tracts are majority African American. We also did some calculations and found that 68% of African Americans in Marion County live in a high death rate census tract. And then you can see those census tracts with the lowest death rates are pretty much St. Joe, New Buffalo area, Stevensville, and Shoreham. All right, so 100% of the death rates with the census tracts with a low death rate are white. And 60% of the census tracts with a high death rate are black, majority black. Here's another way of showing, so the blue is the United States, orange is Michigan, green is Marion County. Without getting into too much detail, the disparity between white and black death rates at the national level is 20%, so there's a 20% gap. In Marion County, the orange is a 30%. No, in Michigan, it's a 30% gap. In Marion County, the gap is 35%. So we have a high gap between white and black death rates compared to the state of Michigan and to the nation. This is very hard to read, but it's very important. This compares 2 5-year averages of death rates, disparities in death rates. And what this table tells us is that the difference in death rates in the years 2007 to 2011, actually, let me just rephrase that. We calculated the death rates, the disparity of death rates between blacks and whites for the years 2012 to 2016. And we did the same thing for 2007 and 2011. Those gaps are getting bigger. They're getting bigger. So between 2007, 2016, the gap in death rates between blacks and whites in Marion County actually got larger. The only gap that got narrower is for people under the age of 1, so infant mortality. And from what I understand, it's still a gap. It's just got narrower relative to what it was. And the health department did a full court press at one point and really focused on infant mortality, and it's showing up in the data. So what underlies these differences is not individual behaviors, it's not clinical outcomes, it's the social conditions that people are living in. So it's their housing, it's their transportation, it's their access to food, it's their neighborhoods where they have places to go out and play. In fact, what we know is that the clinical outcomes in Marion County are pretty decent compared to the state, but the health outcomes are pretty bad compared to the state. So something is happening between the hospital and the community. So basically, and this isn't just the Benton Harbor area, this is the whole region, that most of our health is being made outside the clinical setting, and so that's why, this is where community development comes in. It's important to start focusing on affordable housing, reasonable transportation, food access, all the things that we know we need in the community, but now we've been able to link them to health outcomes. So Lakeland can't do this alone. It's gotta be in robust partnerships with others. This is just another, I can come and do a longer, more detailed presentation at another time. I just wanted to give you an overview, especially of these differences in death rates, the concentration of high death rates, low life expectancy in and around Benton Harbor, the widening of the gap between black and white death rates, a high concentration of African Americans in those census tracts with low life expectancy and high death rates. This is not insignificant information. Here is, yeah, I'm gonna run out of time, but here is just, for every one of these dots is a census tract. And what we know for any census tract, the higher the percentage of people in there with a bachelor's or better, the lower the mortality rate. This tells us the higher the percentage of people in a census tract with less than a high school diploma, the higher the mortality rate. And I have more information showing the relationship between income and death rate and transportation and death rates. And it just points to how important all these other things are in shaping health. I'm gonna skip through a lot of this. One of the things I would love, so we got like all 5 census tracts in Marion County with food insecurity rates above 40% are in Benton Harbor. So I mean, I have lots and lots of data basically corroborating what you all know is going on. But now we have the data, it's not futile. People can't say, oh, that's what you think, but now this is what we're doing. I don't have a chance to get into structural racism, which is a fundamental driver of this. We're not talking about individual responsibility. We're not talking about bad people saying bad things. We're talking about racism that's codified in our legal system, in our regulatory practices. Nobody's fault, but it exists. And I gave examples of redlining and how that is, the Federal Housing Authority, FHA, played a key role in that. That's not one person, but it impacted communities for decades. And we have to put that lens on our view of what's happening and not point fingers at individuals. But so what do we do about it? This is what hospitals have done across the country. They've invested in affordable housing, grocery stores, transportation. This is a laundry facility that Cleveland Clinic created in a low-income community and now hired 100 people because hospitals do a lot of laundry, right? So why not locate a facility in a high-need community? So these are the kinds of things that can be done. We're going to be talking about this Wednesday with someone from a large health system that has invested in all these things. It's taken money and invested in food, in housing, in transportation, in schools to actually improve the health outcomes of the communities they serve. Woo.
Good work. Good work,
So I'm happy to come back if there are more questions and you want more detail about what we're doing.
Yes, what we can do is, this would fall under, park and recreation, public safety.
This is community development. This is everything.
Okay, so you would come back for the plan of economic development department.
I'd be happy to do that work.
And that'll give you more time to move forward, pledge.
Yeah. But please come if you're able to hear what hospital systems are doing, because we're gonna need community support to kind of encourage the institution to make these kinds of investments.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Todd.
Madam Clerk, could you make a note of that to put some agenda for the next economic development communication brings us to public comment. I'd like to relinquish the floor to the city clerk.
Mr. Delora Gavin.
I want to thank you, Honorable Mayor and our commissioners. I had no idea that Dr. Totman was going to do that presentation, but it definitely fits with what I would like to propose today. I do not know the process, and so I really just kind of want to introduce the idea, and then to kind of find out from you all, what would be the next steps to maybe do a longer presentation to see if there's a possibility. I've noticed as well that we've dealt with racial equity issues in Benton Harbor and nationwide and globally, but what are we doing systemically to address those issues? I introduced a racial equity Renaissance zone idea to the legislative committee, and I was asked by Commissioner Henry to send that information to the full body, which I did. I don't know if you had an opportunity to take a look at that. But what I further realized is that what we're talking about is the need for an actual department, an actual person who can ensure that racial equity is enforced throughout our city on a regular basis. Somebody who will make recommendations for ordinances, somebody who will collaborate specifically with racial equity in education, because I believe everything stems from education. And I believe that that will fall under the public welfare office. So I have a full plan, a full idea that will work with both business, education, and the municipality to help ensure that the needs, the racial equity needs of our citizens are met and enforced. And so I would like to know from this body, where will we go next? Is it a presentation? And if so, to what body?
Thank you, Delora. That would be directed to the Park and Rec Public Safety Committee. I did get a chance to read your email, and there's something very similar in Newark, New Jersey, under Mayor Baraka, as it relates to the opportunity zone. So, Madam Clerk, if you could, for the next meeting, chair has any objection,
No, sir.
then she'll communicate with you. That'll be on the agenda.
Okay, thank you very much.
Mr. Marvin Haywood.
Good afternoon. I was very shocked. I didn't even know that Linda was coming in today as well, but she basically spoke on the reality of the situation here in Barron County and in Benton Harbor. When we look at it from an overall perspective, this has been a period of 20 years or better. And there has been a lot of forces that have implemented things that have been systemic racism that has put us in this position. But one of the things that I've always suggested is that we have to quit outsourcing our services and come back to putting things in-house. As we move forward, sometimes we may have to go outside of the county in order to bring in individuals that would have the best interests of the community at heart, as well as having fair play. Because see, when there's an exchange and you compromise and there's no benefit for the city of Benton Harbor or the economic growth of the inner city, then there has been a problem. As we look over the past years, Main Street has been rebuilt, the golf course area, all of that has been rebuilt. There has been no action in the inner city for the past 10 years. And if we look at the master plans from 2009, 2013, and all of the master plans that are master plans for the city of Benton Harbor, it does not include the inner city. She spoke on a very good point. She talked about
economic development. We remember when Bosch and Modern Plastics was systematically closed down, it hurt the economics of our inner city. And it caused things to be put in disarray. And it definitely caused a lot of division. And one of the things that we have to really work on is being able to go outside and bring individuals in that want to participate in the growth and development of the inner city of Benton Harbor. And until we do that, we will be lacking in moving the city forward. It's 2019 and we're still allowing decisions to be made that we don't have a clue about, but yet and still it is up to the commission who has the power. And I can't stress this enough. We have the power. People have power over you. You have power to do the right thing or the wrong thing, or you can have power with the people. And when you have power with the people, you begin to let them incorporate their thoughts and ideals because they are living this struggle on a daily basis. But yet and still, because we have individuals that may assume that the professionals have the right ideals, it's been apparent that everybody that has came in with the plan has been to destroy us as a community. And as I say, fair exchange has never been a robbery. When people come and sit at the table and there's no fair exchange, it has been a robbery. And so we have to be mindful as we move forward in making conscious decisions that's in the best interest of the community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mrs. Gwen Steiger.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. I had emailed her today. She said you didn't get my email. Were you able to distribute?
They have the letters. I could not add you to the agenda.
Oh, that's fine. That's fine. I'll say have the letters. I just wanted to say, wanted to clarify some things. The mayoral town hall that the Sharp Foundation and the Public Library and the Young Black Leaders of Benton Harbor was hosting on tomorrow evening will be changed. The location will be changed from the Public Library to 275 Pipestone due to some false accusations that the library had put out. They have relinquished their communication with me. So, because the Sharp Foundation and the young youths were the ones that actually put this in play and actually got out and did the work, and the only thing that the public library was actually providing was the venue. We decided to pull out of the venue and go to another venue, and I have contacted all of the candidates outside, excluding the mayor. I have not talked to you yet. And everyone is in agreement of moving the venue to the 275 Pipestone due to the false accusations that has come about. So I'm extending an invitation to the mayor, to you tonight, asking you to please be a part of the mayoral town hall tomorrow at 275 Pipestone. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. James Duncan.
Hello, everyone. I heard the mayoral debate as well today. First topic was about Whirlpool. I mean, out of all the things we could have been talking about today, or at this mayoral, whatever you guys want to call it, it's just for that to be the first topic of conversation is something about Whirlpool, and we could be talking about our roads, we could be talking about a host of other things, but you cloud the issue, the real issues we're talking about world food. That's a disgrace. But we've been through a lot. We've been through a lot together. Emergency managers and everything. I know we still strong. I know we got it in our system to be strong and be real survivors, regardless of what stick is stuck in the mud. That's where my grandma used to talk. I mean, it's either you're totally for and about the citizens. I'm talking about you want to be mayors, even. Be a mayor for the citizens, not a mayor for any and everybody else, and I won't call no exact names. But I'm tired of hearing that exact name, especially when it's like, it's what we're dependent on to survive. Not dependent on no damn body, but ourselves. And if you guys, as commissioners, as mayor, as wannabe mayors, if you guys don't stand up to the plate and hit a home run for the city, you're gonna get put out of the park. Citizens vote, and we vote strong. We know what we're voting for, and we know who act like they're our enemy because they don't do a damn thing for us for real. Not for real. So you guys can put on all the suits and ties you want to. We, the citizens, will be voting on for the real of you. What's for real, citizens see and know you. If they don't, I'm gonna tell them about you. Thank you for your time and your energy.
Thank you. This brings us to the agenda items.
You got her?
Have to register with the city clerk.
I'm sorry, I didn't write that. You get it.
Thank you for letting me speak. In 1996, I believe it was, a young girl by the name of Tawana Lloyd died because of lack of maintenance in the city of Benton Harvest Park. You all remember that? State your name. And in her honor, I put up a 110-foot flagpole in front of the armory. And the manager at the time, I believe, was Steve Manning. And Steve said that the city would maintain the flag and put a memorial plaque below the flagpole. And that's been a few years ago, and nothing's ever happened. A gentleman by the name of Richard Rabber has been maintaining the flag. I would like very much for the city to step up, put a plaque up, a memorial to Tawana, and maintain the flag. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir.
What's your name?
Oh, Ross Hadley.
Right.
Ross Hadley. I'm sorry.
This brings us to our agenda items. At the will of the commission, are there any items that should be separated from the consent calendar? Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Adopt a resolution of the sanitary sewer agreement revision and approving the convening of city-owned property.
Duly noted. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
CF Jones first. Take it. Adopt a resolution approving a special land use permit for parcel.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Jones.
Adopt a resolution approving the appointment to the Personnel and Finance Committee, Miguel Clark. Adopt a resolution approving the reappointment to the Downtown Authority, Development Authority, Jenny Minor. Adopt a resolution approving the agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Also, the reappointment of library board, Richard Henderson.
Duly noted.
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Manager.
On the consent calendar, you have adopt a resolution approving the proposals for an executive search for the finance director treasurer. Recommendation is that Mayor Mohammed and Benton City Commission approve staff requesting proposals from executive search company for the position of finance director treasurer for the city of Benton.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion made by Commissioner Adams and it is supported by Commissioner Isom. Discussion. Oh, pardon me. Madam Clerk.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carries.
First separated item is the appointment to the Personnel and Finance Committee, Mr. Miguel Clark. Recommendation that the Benton City Commission appoint Mr. Miguel Clark to the Personnel and Finance Committee as a citizen representative for a 2-year term expiring on July 15, 2021.
Is there a motion to adopt the resolution? Motion made by Commissioner Singleton, supported by Commissioner Adams. Discussion.
Question.
Commissioner Adams,
Can we call for the question?
call for the question.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
No.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next separated item is reappointment to the Library Board, Mr. Rich Hensel. Recommendation is that the Benton City Commission reappoint Rich Hensel to the Library Board for a 5-year term expiring on May 1, 2024.
Is there a motion for the approval to adopt a resolution approving the appointment? Motion made by Commissioner Isom, supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Discussion. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. This said individual is also part of Downtown PDA, Planning Commission. A lot of these individuals never come and give us any kind of update and the shape the library's in. I don't continue, this work continues going a long ways. Continue grant writing and all this other stuff. I've never seen anything that has improved with this group of individuals. Now, even with the complaint about even something simple as the mayoral race, I think it's time for us to put these things out there and let people apply for these positions instead of just reactivating these same individuals who have been doing the same thing for over years. And for some funny reason, people get on these boards, they think they run the whole operation. And really they don't. They're just part of a crew. But if the crew is weak, and then you find one, I want to say alpha male, but if you find one alpha, then they become the dominant one and start dictating. I think that we need to start putting these back out there, and starting with this one. I want to know the process that this went through. Did this go to the newspaper? What are opportunities for applications? How are we putting it out there? And I would put that on the communications committee, that we do a better job of putting out with the vacancies and let people know that they can serve on these committees. You don't have to be a librarian or have a master's degree to serve on these committees. The only thing you don't even have to be really a city resident. It seems like you can be homeless and be president of the committee. So I would like to know, what process did this go through? And how do we keep reactivating the same individuals who have shown no interest in really betterment? I don't see any program to do so, get you a book and read it and give you a certificate at the end of reading it. And what books are they giving you? not giving you anything that has anything to do with African American history, true African American history, the last books,
Right.
you know, that I see in there have nothing to do. And it's a shame that the only library we got have no African American exhibits. Nothing for black people in there. So, you know, and I hate to be like that because I know you got a couple people, you know, like Snowball, but I would rather see some stuff happen for the people. Thank you, Honorable.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. I agree with my colleague. I've watched over the years. I appreciate anybody that steps up to the plate and wants to be of service to the community. But I've noticed that there are some that seem to get comfortable in positions like they run the joint. And this is one appointment that I will not be supporting at this time, because I'm sure that we probably still have applications in a drawer somewhere that needs to be looked at and given some attention to. And if not, we need to publicize that these are positions that are open to the public for those that are wanting to apply or have been waiting to apply for a specific board. I didn't come down here to get comfortable. I came down here to get some things done. And when Ben Harbor think that I've done enough, they're going to speak in the day. I will not be supporting this reappointment.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Isom.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor. Speaking for the library board, which I'm a committee person, the library is solid. We serve the community and the city, and our budget is solid. And Rich Hensel has done a great job of bringing things to the library. You got to visit the library for one thing before you start talking. And we do have exhibits for all the people. The library been there and been used. We've been doing a good job getting the young people down there as adults too, and volunteers. So, Ms. Hensel's not here today, but I think they have done a great job as the president, and so I will support this.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Jones.
Let's not forget that when these applications come before the commission, the same excuse is made, nobody else is coming forward. Why not give it to them? They submit half completed applications, and a great deal of us don't even show up to these meetings to even make a concentrated comment about this. Now, I have showed up at those meetings and also came back here concerned about certain reappointments and applications, because those that are on that board are not all that effective, just like any other board that we have been approving these people applications. Now, I don't have nothing against this gentleman. He has been serving that board, but my question is, why are we concerned now? We've been allowing this to go down the road and nobody been showing up for these meetings. Now, I will say this about the library board. Some things are handled, some things are not. You have a lot of slackers that's on that committee, and they came through here and we reappoint them. We reappoint them. Since we reappoint these people or appoint them, when are we gonna start showing up for these meetings and being very concerned about those we're placing on there? Now, this gentleman spoke on the board and how they're being effective and whatnot. They're not totally effective, but if enough of us are not down there to check on the current progress, we can't really make a good concentrated decision to appoint or reappoint, or to even make further comment on the progression of what's going on down there. We have kids that go down to the library, they put on different activities, but understand, we just don't have to deal with African American history. We deal with world history. So let's pay attention to what we put on these boards. I implore again, pay attention to what we put on these boards. because you're not checking up behind.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. It's concerning to me to say that building is in good shape. What they're doing over there is in good shape. You know, that's very deal concern to me that we feel like that. That's kind of shows, you know, where we at for our government. We can start saying that kind of stuff look good. We feel good about that. That building is antiquated, annotated. If somebody's been writing grants on, we need to follow it. Because there has been no physical improvement on that building in years. Nobody has touched that building for years. We have people roll on those library boards. And let us not just say this is the library board. The cemetery board coming up before us soon. A lot of these other boards are coming up before us. Dollar all the other boards coming. So, I mean, if you say you serve on that board, and I want to hear more about the library since you serve on that board, because you ain't gave not one report to this commission about that library board.
Please refer.
I have not heard one report from that library board about the improvement or a sign or building. Mr. Todman just came, Dr. Todman just came and told you that the high death rate because of the looks and how things are digressed and how they frustrated emotionally and all this, and then we said that's a good thing. You know, we need to do something kind of different with this. I would ask that we either call for the question, get rid of it. I mean, I would want to put it back to committee to get some answers. But if we feel like we want to call for the question, I would want to give the young man another chance. But I want to see the process that we went through. Was there anybody else, or did we just pull his name and say because it's been there, we won't put him back? Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Madam Clerk, have you received any applications for the library board?
No, his application was the only one that we received.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Well, just answer one of the questions here. With this publicized though,
Madam Clerk.
Because of cost, we don't post them in the newspaper, but they're posted downstairs at City Hall on our website and sent to all news media outlets. And I also announced it at this meeting, at commission meetings.
So, Commissioner Singleton.
how basically with citizens who don't come down, how would they be?
It's sent to news media, it's on our website, it's announced at commission meetings and it's posted.
What is it?
Yes.
Yes, so I would just like to give some context. The city of Ben Harbor had no powers to appoint until July 1st, 2017. So that power came back to the city commission after 7 years of emergency management and state control. And one of the first tasks that we had after receiving local control was to make appointments per the approval of the council so we can have quorums for these different boards. An observation that I have had, and this is the clerk can speak to it as well, is not that appointments have not been made, but having people attend meetings that have been appointed is a serious issue and problem that we have. Richard Hensel, from my understanding, his attendance is impeccable. On the DDA, on the Planning Commission, as well as on the Library Board. What his agenda is, what he, I can't get into that. But if we had that type of attendance and commitment on every board from everybody who was appointed, then I wouldn't be receiving messages from the clerk saying we could not meet because we didn't have enough to do business. So I encourage and I ask, if you know somebody, starting with the mirror, that want to participate, get involved in the local government is volunteer. So it's no pay, but if you want to volunteer and become a part of any committee, because the problem that I have as the mayor with appointment powers is people coming forward. And then the second problem is attendance. So, I mean, whatever the will of the commission is tonight, because I can only appoint, it's the commission that has the power to approve. But Richard Hensel, again, his attendance has been impeccable. He's been one of the few persons, he may even have perfect attendance on all three boards. And he is a resident of the city of Benton Harbor. So if we want to ask residents to get involved, be a part of the government, and we want to vote down a man that's at every meeting at 3 different boards, that's a sad state of affairs. Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Maybe I was clerk through chair, the 5 years, but what do we?
That's not.
Bylaw, I'm sorry.
That's in the bylaws of the library board.
Yes.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. And thank you, Honorable Mayor, for pointing out the problem that we have in this country as a whole. Because appointments, people just sitting in seats in Washington, just running road and not getting anything done, but what they choose to do. I can sit here for as long as the people in this community will allow me to and do things that y'all could never know of in a manner that don't serve you at all. But that's not why I came down here. That's not why I sit here, I know. I just have a problem with some of the things that I saw from some of these individuals that still sit on these seats when we were under the state of emergency, and I just explained it. And for that reason, we can call for the question.
Madam Clerk.
They gotta be supported.
You got something else to say, Mayor Pro Tem?
Yes, I do. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
This is not about a person, individual. I'm not gonna say I'm voting down a person, because that's disingenuous when you start saying that we're voting down an individual. We're voting down the fact that process, and that's why I said, do we want to take this back to committee? First it was said it didn't go to Harold Palladium. Now it's saying it did go to Harold Palladium.
Point of order, the clerk never said that.
Well, it didn't go to Harold Palladium. It was downstairs, and it was announced at this meeting. Everybody don't show up to this meeting. I would ask that we go back to the drawing board before we appoint somebody for 5 more years. You're not voting down people. We're saying that we need people on these boards who have a broader ideal, can bring new ideas and new innovation or new different things to the committee. Nobody's voting down a person. We're making this more personal. Then we're talking about EFM. Well, Ron Singleton was appointed during the EFM. C.F. Jones was appointed during the EFM. These people were appointed back then too. All these individuals who were appointed during the EFM times, we did have to come back and amen it, but these happened years ago. So I'm just saying, if we want to keep righting the ship and go ahead, I think that we need to start bringing some innovation to these committees, some new ideas, some new strategies. And 5 years is a long time to keep having individuals the same. When we got people, and it's not a discrepancy of age, but you have people who we had to take out because they got too old, couldn't even make the meetings. But they sat there for years and years, and because of relationship and friendship, we keep putting them on the boards, and they medically could not even do it. So when do we help our own people and not embarrass them by keep putting them out there year after year after year, and some of them are, they just
You're
can't
talking
do
about
it.
Richard Hensel.
I'm talking about voting down a person that you said. I'm not voting down a person.
But Richard Hensel is the person that's being
I'm voting
put forward
now.
for appointment.
I am voting concerning the way that we get people to apply and the way that we have this process. It's the same process. If they know about it already, then they reapply. How can we say the city residents knew about it? You might have school teachers who wanted to be a part of the library board. How do we know? There's residents who are school teachers who want to play a part but don't know. So you give them another 5 years. I'm not voting down Richard Hensel, I'm voting down the process for the record.
Amen.
Madam Clerk, call for the question.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson. Yes. Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams,
No.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
No.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries, Your Honor.
Wow.
Hey.
All that again.
Next item is reappointment to the Downtown Development Authority, Jenny Minor. Recommendation, the Ben Harbor City Commission reappoint Jenny Minor to the Downtown Development Authority for a 3-year term expiring on July 15, 2022.
Is there a motion to adopt a resolution approving the reappointment to the Downtown Development Authority for Jenny Minor? Motion made by Commissioner Isom. Supported by Commissioner Jones. Is there discussion? Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. This young lady applied for another position on the board, and I haven't saw her.
She is not. This is the only board that she served on.
It wasn't Ms. Minor?
It was not.
She's needed, for sure. I remember the name, and when I looked over the resume, things looked familiar, and I'm gonna come back to it and address it another time, because she has some experience that we need in another department, and I thought that's why she looked familiar, because I needed her expertise in another field. So I'll just wait, and I'll address it another time.
Commissioner Adams, to your point, she has served on the Downtown Development Authority faithfully a full term. So that probably was it. You did vote to appoint her the last time.
If I may, I just want to be clear to the residents and for them to understand that in times past, we have asked that these different committees and stuff throughout the city, including the housing, I'm not going there, but to bring us a annual report, a quarterly report of things that are going on. Some of us work real jobs, like yourself, Honorable Mayor, and can't make it to a lot of different meetings, which is why I think out of respect for the community and those positions that we get some type of report about what's going on.
The Downtown Development Authority just had a town hall meeting at the library where they laid out their vision, laid out everything that they have done. The lights during the Christmas and New Year's season is money that's raised by that board. And she's been very instrumental. Right. So I'm preaching, but I'm just saying, again, she's another person who has had impeccable attendance. And I need your help.
I mean, I'm not discriminating or anything, because she has grant writing experience, and I think that's what drew me to her application and remembering her, because I asked her if she would help us in another department, being a grant writer. So maybe I'll have that conversation with her
Thank you.
again.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Is this a resident of Benton Harbor?
Well, according to the bylaws of the Downtown Development Authority, you do not have to be a resident. Certain boards, you have to be a resident. Other boards, you do not.
Next question, was this posted, or was this in a newspaper or radio? How was this posted?
Posted City Hall website and sent to the news media. Not in the Herald Plate. You're not paid to have it posted.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. When we say news media, who do we mean?
There are various, radio stations, Benton Spirit, sent it to, I have like at least 10 different news media outlets that we send it to.
There are no further comments by the council. I call for the question.
Commissioner Henry?
No.
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 Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats?
No.
Commissioner Harrelson? Yes. Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next, separated resolution is approval of special land use permit, parcel ID number 1154-007-0102-03-1. Recommendation is that Mayor Mohammed and the City Commission approve parcel 1154-007-0102-03-1, also known as the Alrico site, for special land use special land use permit as requested by the applicant and recommended for approval by the Benton Harbor Planning Commission.
So motion to approve, to adopt a resolution approving the special land use permit for parcel ID number 1154-007-0102-031.
So moved.
Chair, Commissioner Singleton has moved, supported by Commissioner Isom. Discussion. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Just talking to some people on the Planning Commission, there's still some issues that were raised. I need to know that the Planning Commission, who pushed it forward, there were still some other things that was talked about in seeing that. My other question becomes this. I know that with developments, people have come and people have said what they were going to do for the community. And I haven't heard a whole lot about anything else that's going to be given to the community or done for the community. Then I would like to know who all voted from the Planning Commission on this issue, the names of the said persons who sent it forward on the Planning Commission. Lastly, I would like to know Marsh, who is on this, how much did we pay for them to be the city engineer? How much, it says here, they gave us a report on how they understood that it will cause no harm to the sewers and the wastewater treatment plant. But if you read up, it says that it required large amounts of water to be disposed in the sanitary sewer. Do we have the capacity? And my last question becomes, do we even have water? Do we have a water go out that far? From the city water, the city sewer? Does it go out that far? And if not, then maybe we, as a city, should look at running some pipes out there or get them connected. But I just know, hey, we want to keep moving forward like the old times we can. But other than that, I would like to know how much do we spend? Large amounts going into the sewer. It's not going to affect us because it's not our sewer. If not, then can we get water pipes? Because I've seen this medical thing go, I'm close with this, and this same said body made people jump through hoops about what they're gonna do for the inner city, and what they're gonna do for the residents, and I ain't heard nothing with this. Thank you.
Yes, I would like to bring to you, which you probably already know, the way that the state law is set up, the city can't approach medical marijuana developers regarding benefit packages, incentives. It has to be according to the ordinance and the law, but as far as saying, in that industry, we need a community center, and then we'll approve, or the state law does not allow for us to do that. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Commissioner, to Mayor Pro Tem's question, you asked about the Planning Commission. If I'm not mistaken, it was a unanimous vote of the Planning Commission to move it forward based on the merits of the special use permit as prescribed in the zoning ordinance adopted by the city of Benton Harbor. The second question you asked about water and sewer, the water and sewer are not a part of the city's systems. However, the property resides in the city of Benton Harbor. And per the zoning ordinance, which I believe is section 6.5.6, the city engineer is required to meet with any development that's granted a special use permit conditionally from the Planning Commission in order to see if there's any impact on the systems that they're able to handle. The engineer met with the developers, the architects, had the conversation, wrote up the report relative to it, along with the maps that are contained in along with the document for the Al Rico site. Is that the two that you had?
The question was, who, is anybody on this board, part of the planning commission, who voted to move this forward?
Madam, of the Third Ward, did you vote on this in the Planning Commission as a member? Commissioner Henry, did you vote on this in the Planning Commission to move it forward?
No, I didn't.
Sure.
I'm almost sure I didn't, because I like to reserve my vote for the commission. So usually that's the way I handle it. I just don't vote in the planning commission. I use my vote here.
Mayor, she normally does, but I don't have the minutes in front of me to confirm or deny.
Well, in the event that if she did, then her vote would be no.
If she voted as a planning commissioner, she wouldn't vote as a city.
And I too serve as a planning commissioner per charter, and I did not vote to move it forward because I wanted to reserve the right to vote on this evening. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. This right here is just one of many that are long overdue. We started this process probably 2 years ago. And everybody around us is up and operating and employing people. This is a sad affair. This right here is a sad state of affairs. For me to sit here and talk about how I want to create jobs and innovate and bring, get some more potholes fixed. This city been paying over up to $100,000 on that property sitting out there vacant, doing nothing. The emergency manager switched the water over. Another one of our water customers. Hey, I'm trying to think of ways to help us be able to help the inner city and stop focusing on downtown. We allowed the emergency manager to come through and do something else that we need to be trying to rectify and rescind, which are our customers out on Territorial. Our airport, another large water supplier, switched our water source over, as well as Kojic out on Territorial. All of those apartments, they use a lot of water. We need jobs. We can't keep talking about economic development and then we keep opening up the process. And I'm angry about it because when I was the legislative chair, these items came through my committee. I actually spearheaded this, fought very hard. And I want to see some movement on it. And I don't think that we need to be holding up businesses that we say we want to be friendly to and open this community up to. It may not satisfy the powers that be, but oh well, it satisfies the power that needs to be.
Maybe you should say that again. Call for question.
Commissioner Jones?
Pay their money, can't you?
Yes.
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson?
Yeah.
Commissioner Isom?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seaton?
Yeah,
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next separated item is approval of agreement with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, also known as AFSCME. Recommendation that Mayor Mohammed, the Benton City Commission, approve the terms with the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. That is the recommendation to the City Commission.
call for the question. Motion to approve.
Motion is made by Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Support.
and it is supported by Commissioner Singleton. Is there discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner Harrelson?
No.
Is this on the actual?
This is on the actual resolution.
Oh, yeah.
She would,
Commissioner Harrelson? Commissioner Harrelson?
Repeat it.
well, I asked, was there discussion?
Yeah.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Yeah, I think they deserve, bigger raise than they're getting. I would ask us to go higher. Why don't we just give everybody, look at the manager and everybody? I'm serious. No, I'm dead serious because you have police officers who are leaving because they're not getting paid. You have employees that are leaving across the board because they're not making enough money. We have enough money to pay for everything else and do everything else. It's time for us to take care of our home. Maybe we can do a better job with management. But I think the workers, if they're out there working, especially in 90-degree heat, now if they're not working, then it's up to the managers to figure that out. But it ain't up to the employees. So I think everybody done stuck around through the emergency manager and through emergency management through us. They deserve a tremendous wage. Hopefully we can make it retroactive to a certain date to get them some more money. Thank you.
Well, I'm delighted to hear that Mayor Pro Tem. I got out there with these gentlemen and I almost threw my back out trying to fill some potholes. By the time it was lunch, it felt like I did about 20 suicides. So I mean, I'm excited. I mean, you all have been with us, Mr. Patterson, the crew. We definitely want to expand the public works department during the emergency management. That was one of the areas where he wanted to outsource and bring in some contracted group to do it. But he was not able to do that based upon how the public works are paid and other reasons. But I applaud your service. And as the Mayor Pro Tem said, if we could get more, we would. But we want to retain you and keep you. And when people come and interview, sometimes they talk to staff. if they find out that the people that we have are being mistreated, then what's gonna encourage and inspire them to wanna come work for the city of Benton Harbor. So thank you, and you have my support. Chair recognizes Third Ward Commissioner, Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. At one time, city manager, we asked you to give us a list of the employees that were in line for this increase. And it was presented, and there was a name on there that caused me to look and think red flags. I was looking through the background information and it's not here this time. And I just want to verify that every one of those names that were on that list were truly public works departments. I would like to see any additional names on it, but truly public works department. I want to verify that through the city manager.
Mr. Manager.
Commissioner Henry, the raises that are being proposed are for all those covered by the union contract. We cannot add anybody to that unless they're covered by the union contract. So this union contract covers public works and water employees that are union employees.
So let's go back to the same question I had before. Rumor is that we have a new person in the water plant, and that person had a contract that was let, and as a salaried employee, and I can't get any information about that person. And if that person is in line for a raise right now, I need to know so I can vote no.
Is any truth to that rumor?
No, sir. No, sir. That person, whomever you're talking about, the people that are covered at the water plant are the operators of the water plant. There is no one else at the water plant covered by that. There's one more, which would be a relief operator. But that person, and I don't know whom you're speaking about, but there is no person given a contract other than the one that the commission approved back with, when we had to get the distribution form. There are no contracts that have been let or given at the water plant relative to an employee.
So we don't have a new salaried employee at the water plant.
We do, but he's not covered under the union contract.
Okay, so his name was not on the list.
That is correct.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes, I do want to, this young lady, Commissioner Adams. Commissioner Adams? Has your hand up?
Yeah.
Oh, recognize.
My bad. Thank you. I'm glad that some of them are here. Because as the mother of 5 males, they birthed 5 males, I know that strenuous work that y'all do, I know it is. And I'm glad that you're here, because I'm not gonna talk about you behind your back. Then I can't say it to your face. We have some young men in the community that are watching you guys, okay? And I'm only mentioning this because last year, as I went to get a certification up in Grand Rapids on a 2-week journey, I met a young man who used to work for our city. And he promised me that he was going to come and apologize to this city for some of the stuff that he did. And I can only just pray that you all are not the one that's somewhere hiding behind somebody's house parked, hiding from work, in another state of mind, if you know what I'm saying. Okay, I ain't gonna go all the way there. But no. I'm saying that to say that we have young men in the community that are watching you that's going to one day take your place. And what I ask is that you show them how to work as men, that you know what you're doing. You running. I used to have a curb in front of my house about 15 years ago. Go look. I know you already have. I don't have a curb anymore. We're about to be laying new pavements on our streets, which may include curbs, brand new curbs. If you're not mindful of how you're running the equipment, I mean, that's the mother in me that's speaking, and I don't mean to sound harsh, it's just the only voice God gave me. But please just be mindful of the young men and women that are watching you, and they can see the work that, I mean, I might wanna run one of them one day. Yeah. And I know it's trending away, and at some point, we have to give you guys a raise because everything is going up. The cost of living has risen. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you. Yes, I speak as a father. These guys, we just came through the Public Safety Committee last Wednesday. You guys showed up and gave some presentation and talked about some of the challenges and things that they have. And with the contract, being a person who have negotiated employment contracts on both sides as an employee and as an administrator, this is a closed contract. It's, you can't add members to or take members out. If you fit in that work category, it's under contract or a union group, then everybody in the union gets the raise. We talked about it, I think, in another meeting that, really the cost that we would impact the budget, it was really minimal. And even to the point that we waste a whole lot of attorney fees even dealing with it. So it came back through the Public Safety Committee meeting so before it's now. So I will support the agreement.
Chair recognizes 4th Ward Commissioner Harrelson.
I agree with my colleagues, and I will support this resolution.
Call for the question.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yep.
Commissioner Adams,
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is sanitary sewer agreement revision. Recommendation is that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton Harbor City Commission approve the revised sanitary sewer agreement to include the Southwest Michigan Regional Sanitary Sewer and Water Authority.
Motion is made by Commissioner Adams. Is there support? Supported by Commissioner Harrelson. Discussion. Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
I'm the chair, Mayor. I asked if this was separated along with the one coming up, because I wanted to know what about these were legislative, that they went through legislation instead of planning and economic development committee.
Mr. Manager.
Commissioner Adams, this is a agreement that was legislatively done by the city of Benton Harbor, the city of St. Joe, and the authority. And so that's why it went through that committee to be recommended.
Okay.
And it's really a change to a contract.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so my question is, when it comes to the sanitation and sewer, I don't know what's actually within the agreement, and I gotta admit, I missed that committee meeting, but I had a problem, and I think I let it get by me with the cost that was incurred on a job that was done on Wakanda. Is Wakanda all the way up Benton Harbor City residents, or is there a portion of the sewer drainage, the sewer that belongs to the township, and we are incurring a cost that they're supposed to be taken care of?
Mr. Manager.
Wakanda is both in the city and in the township. What this is about is how the waste is processed. So
Okay.
let me step back. This is about the agreement that was put in place and all the entities that were going to be part of it.
Right.
So as you see in the body of the resolution, when the agreement was put together in 1951, the agreement was the initial agreement, City of St. Joe agreed to accept sewage from Lake Michigan Shoreline Water and Sewer Treatment Authority. The authority included Lake Charter Township, the Village of Shoreham, Royalton Township, St. Joe Charter Township, including Stevensville. The city accepts the waste from Benton Charter Township that then is taken over to the wastewater plant.
Okay, so it comes through our drainage system, it comes through.
No,
Okay,
because we're the owner of the facility. We are the owner as well as St. Joe is the owner. We have to agree to allow them to come into our siphon, which is down on Riverview, to then be treated across at the wastewater.
How does it get there though?
Under the river. It's under the St. Joe River.
Oh.
Yeah, right there where you look at, you'll see a, yeah, it's a nice big, it's a big pipe, but it's also right there at the end of where the boardwalk is.
Okay, but while we're on this, does this agreement have within it that, I've been trying to learn and figure out how that works and how it's distinguished between city and sewer when it comes to the repairs of things. I understand that are those type of things within this agreement?
No.
Okay, I wouldn't know if I didn't ask.
No, that's fair. What this is about is how each municipality.
Okay, I got
accepts.
that. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, I got that part. Okay,
Chair reckon,
I'm gonna come back to that another time.
Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. First question is, how many seats do we have on this board? On this authority?
Mr. Manager.
The city of Benton Harbor has 3 seats on this board.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Is there a stipend received for any of these seats? Thank you.
Yes, there is a stipend that was established by the wastewater plant for members on the board.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Can we get a ballpark figure on every meeting, how much they're getting paid on? And is that part of, because I know we got some certain stipulations part of the charter about receiving, different things for position, that kind of thing. That doesn't fall into that category, hopefully, but can we get a ballpark figure on how much a year for sitting on one of those seats? Because again, if it's publicized or advertised, maybe somebody will want to sit on those seats. Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Mr. Manager.
If a person attends all the meetings of the wastewater treatment plant board, it's $600 total for the entire year.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor.
Chair recognizes Third Ward Commissioner Henry.
Wow. Thank you, Mayor. This is another opportunity and another conversation about appointing people to boards that do not represent Benton Harbor at its best. I've seen this board. I've seen them raise our rates for fruitless reasons. And I've seen the people that get paid that little stipend agree to it. When it came to us, it was already done. A rate increase. And of course, when we voted on it, they made it real. But so much information that is not being presented about this authority. And if you don't put people in place that have Benton Harbor's interests at first and foremost, what we get is high increases on our sewer for no reason other than to keep them in place. So I'm just having a problem with all of it. So we can vote on it and perpetrate and keep moving forward with it. Or we can get the information about this contract, how it was set up, and read it.
So can we table it?
Mr. Manager, can you weigh in, please?
There's 2 things that need to be discussed about this. This, at this time, is not, this is a vote to change the name of one of the authority, change the name of the authority that is a participant in the wastewater plant. It's not about the contract. It's not going to change the contract. It's going to change just the name, because the entity has now gone defunct and has transferred all their assets. As a member, as a owner, we are required to approve that to happen. We have to approve, as an owner of the facility, along with St. Joe, we have to say whether we approve them coming in or not.
Changing the name?
They're just changing their names.
Wait a minute,
They're changing the name of one of the entities. The entity that comes and serves the townships of Royalton Township, Lincoln Township, Shoreham, Stevensville. As an owner, we have to do that. The second part of that is this. I sit on this board, Mr. O'Malley sits on this board, Mr. Steve Archibald sits on this board. We have voted against every increase that has come down, but we're outvoted.
exactly.
We're outvoted 5-3.
It's not really work.
So if we basically agree, if we say no, we can say no all we want to, the other ones outvote us.
That's a good partnership.
We have that's what goes on in that respect, because we know, I know specifically what the rates are, how the rates impact the community, and we have voted against it. So, but again, this is strictly about changing the name of the Lake Michigan Shoreline Water and Sewage Treatment Authority to the Southwest Michigan Regional Sanitary Sewer and Water Authority.
Southwest.
Yep, they just changed the name.
Wow. So, why not?
Chair recognizes Commissioner Adams.
That last part, I got a problem with that. We should have opted out of that stuff that we joined, the Southwestern Michigan planning stuff. Cause it just seems like a puzzle just coming together. To just hear that, another part of the puzzle. I guess they're gonna come back around and hit transportation again. But this is puzzling to me. Puzzling. And gentlelady of the Third Ward just said something about price increase. And I wonder how many of my constituents here, how many of my colleagues actually know that they're an authority, that they have the authority to do that, just like the downtown authority can tax us, this whole community. Did you know that? How many of y'all knew that?
Any taxing has to be approved by this body. No one can tax the residents of Ben Harbor without the permission of this body. Mr. Manager, for clarity, is this, you said 1951?
Correct.
This went into this agreement, which was roughly 6 years after the revision of the city charter?
Correct. This was done.
So what entity went default?
They didn't go default. What they did was they transferred the assets that they had.
What entity?
The entity of the Lake Michigan Shoreline Water and Sewage Treatment Authority, which serves Lincoln Charter Township, Royalton Township, and St. Joe Charter Township.
What was the reason for the transfer?
Oh, there was a whole lot of stuff. It's a long laundry list. They decided that they wanted to change the name based on some issues that they had with the authority. Their authority went through the mechanics of getting that done. It took almost 2 years to get done. And then they brought it to the wastewater plant once they had finished it, and the wastewater plant approved it, that we were changing the name from one entity to the other one, still serving the same communities. And then they were going to be a participant in the agreement with the wastewater plant.
And who's the chairperson of this board?
The chairperson is a gentleman by the name of Ray Mack.
He represents what?
He is a representative from the authority.
He serves as the chairperson.
He is the chairperson, yes, sir.
Represent what community?
He represents the authority.
He's not, so we have 3 members.
Correct. We have 3 members. The City of St. Joe has 3 members. Benton Charter Township has a member, and the authority has a member.
So what member does Matt, what city does he represent?
He represents the authority, which is these 3 entities, which are Lincoln Charter Township, Royalton Township, and St. Joe Charter Township.
Okay. I mean, because I'm really, so you're our representative.
I'm one of 3.
And you could be the chair.
I could be the chair.
But you represent Benton Harbor.
Correct.
So I'm trying to figure out what community does Mac represent?
He's from, is he Lincoln Township?
He lives in Lincoln Township.
Lincoln Township.
He's on the new sewer authority board.
Okay. He's in Lincoln Township.
Okay.
He was on the original sewer authority board, now he's on the new.
He served as the chair.
Yeah, and it was like 5 years struggle to do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And any other questions by this board? Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Who chairs with the management, so this basically will not change anything in the contract other than name change for operation. It won't change anything.
No, sir.
And no adverse effects on
It does not have anything to do with rates. It doesn't have anything to do with the operation of the plant. It doesn't have anything to do with ownership. It's strictly the name change of this entity, which is a part of the contract.
Call for the question.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yep. Thank you.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Next item is conveying of city-owned property. Recommendation is that Mayor Muhammad and the Benton Harbor City Commission approve the conveyance of city-owned property 1152-52-50-0002-00-2 to Ms. Rosella Ottman. Additionally, staff is authorized to execute the necessary documentation to facilitate the transaction.
Make a motion to approve.
Motion is made by Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Support.
It is supported by Commissioner Singleton. Discussion. Chair recognizes Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, I think this is just housekeeping, just cleaning up some records. I don't think we should waste a lot of time with this. We already voted to do it, so it's just some housekeeping that needs to be done by us voting on it. The young lady, I believe, got sick, and she already paid for the property. It's just up to us to give them what's right, and we blessing everybody else. Sure should bless our home. Thank you.
There is no other comment. Call for the question.
Commissioner Henry,
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson,
Yes.
Commissioner Isom,
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton,
Yes.
Commissioner Adams.
Same.
We have a financial conflict to disclose.
Oh, sorry.
You abstain?
Well, I just walked in the chamber. I left the chamber and I missed the whole conversation, so no.
What is the answer? Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats,
Yes.
Mayor Muhammad.
Yes.
Motion carries.
This brings us to staff communication. I'd like to recognize our Director of Public Safety, none other than Director Dan McGinnis.
I need some clock, Madam Clerk. Yeah, I could probably do 2. Handful of things, just FYI for the citizens. The first thing is, first of all, good evening, citizens, residents, employees. It's good to see you. We recently we're in the process of going through a number of change. Contact information has changed. I want to make sure that people know that for me, my information is the same. So my number is still 927-8425. Now, I also want to be clear, because it has always been my policy since I've been a director, that if a citizen comes to the lobby to speak to me, if I'm available, I will see them. I don't believe in being in the corner and have to have by appointment. If by chance I am unavailable, somebody will take a message, I'll call them back. So that's always, I want to reiterate that. If somebody walks off the street when it seems they will. With that being said, I usually return my phone calls starting about 6 o'clock in the evening. So I will get to you, if not 9 to 10, and the following morning I got a system. So that's that. I'll make sure that that's out there. It's been a while, that people know that. Moving on, I would ask Brother Singleton, Commissioner Singleton, to add to our committee next. One of the things we want to do, as we know, we've reduced home invasions 84% over 6 years. We want to stay in that vein. One of the things we want to talk about is something called Protect DNA. And what that is people have the ability to actually have special codes on their TVs, computers, laptops, whatever, at no cost to them. They'd be able to keep track of that via a free website, and we would, if anything were to happen, we'd be able to access the information. I would like to discuss that for our residents. It's called Protect DNA. So we will, more on that later. Next, PAL, we're having a joint with the Benton Harbor Rocket football. A football camp for the Benton Harbor Rockets is actually moved. It's going to be the last week of July. We're working together to get that set. So we're looking forward to getting that going here on for our young kids, to get them fired for football and to move on and have a great season. So that will be coming. I will let you know when that happens. That being said, we went out and we secured a partnership with Southwest Michigan Racers. They do 5K runs. PAL is the sponsored event that we will be, what I'm trying to say, I'm messing up my 2 minutes. With the organization they're raising money for. That flyers here, the Turkey Trot race, this is the 5th annual. It's held in the city on Thanksgiving. It's kind of crazy, but it has a good turnout, and that money will go to us to help us with our PAL. Moving down, additionally, one of the things we're working on, I've had a meeting today. As some of you guys may know, back in 2004, when I was on the school board, I founded the Benton Harbor Chess Club. We were an official chess club registered with UCF. We want to bring that back. Pastor Lark and Lark's Barbecue has offered to sponsor that. One thing we'd like to build towards is not only to have chess club back in the schools. We started in Fairplain, the middle school back then, but to also do maybe a weekly or bi-weekly meeting like they do over in St. Joe. They go over to the library, they play, meet, whatever. We think we have a great location here on Main Street. In addition with that, Pastor Lark talked about doing their back room, and he actually threw in the idea of maybe having some bidwits or spades. I don't know if you old heads know anything about that stuff. If you want to talk about bidwits, see me later. So moving down, Church Club. Second round of the tire pickup, we're organizing that now. The date will be follow. I think we've secured everything in place just to now to do the logistics. So that will be coming next. Alley ravine cleanups have been going. Hopefully you see a difference there. While I have Ms. Gavin and Ms. Emma, we get together we can talk about Juneteenth and Peace Walk. So hopefully you got to meet your committees. Dump cams been across the city. We've been successful. We actually caught somebody dumping in an area, so that's going well. And tip 401 continues to expand and grow, and we've gotten some tips there, some actionable stuff. So we encourage citizens to keep sending that information in. And you got the report from last week.
Thank you, Director McGinnis. Chair recognizes our city assessor, Assessor Stewart.
Thank you. Tomorrow we'll be holding the July Board of Review meeting. It is an open meeting, however, it is not for valuation appeals. It is for clerical errors or homestead issues or hardship or poverty exemptions can be applied for, as well as veterans exemptions. That is tomorrow at 6 o'clock in these chambers.
Has that been advertised?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Where?
Madam Owner, where has it been?
It should be
It
posted.
was posted, not in the newspaper.
It was posted? What was it
Posted.
posted at?
It's downstairs and our bulletin on the website and sent to the newspaper.
Thank you. Chair recognizes our city attorney. Attorney Hunter.
Thank you, Your Honor, no report tonight.
Chair recognizes our community and economic development director, Director James.
Good evening, Your Honor, and commissioners and residents. The Community and Economic Development Committee will be hosting staff from the Housing and Urban Development Detroit Field Office this week, starting tomorrow and next week, as we go through our annual monitoring of our program, evaluation of our files, and we will be very busy with HUD staff the next 2 weeks. Thank you.
Thank you. Chair recognizes our city clerk, Clerk Thompson.
A primary election will be held in the city on Tuesday, August 6, 2019, for the purpose of electing candidates for the following office. Mayor, 1 4-year term expiring on December 31st, 2023. Any qualified elector of the city who is not already registered may register to vote at the office of the city clerk, the office of the county clerk, a secretary of state branch office, or other designated state agencies. The last day to register in any matter other than in person with the local clerk is Monday, July 22nd. After this date, anyone who qualifies as an elector may register to vote in person with proof of residency at the city clerk's office at the following times. Regular business hours, Monday through Friday, from 8:30 a.m. until 5 o'clock p.m. Saturday, August 3rd, 2019, from 8:30 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m. and Election Day, Tuesday, August 6th, from 7 o'clock a.m. to 8 o'clock p.m. Absentee ballots are also available for this election.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, thanks for the approval. Thank the commission for the approval for the raises for the gentlemen that work in public works and the water. Again, we're trying to slowly but surely get back to what we were, but it's going to take little steps, and we can't just jump all at one time. To kind of jump on the back of Director McGinnis. The tire pickup will be the last week in July. They will be delivered the last week in July, first part of August. So that week, very last week. So we'll do it the same way. It'll be set up out front, City Center, and people will be able to bring their tires to City Center, and then we can get them disposed of again at no cost to the city. This is the grant consortium from Berrien County. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Chair recognizes Commissioner Singleton.
Thank you. Thank citizens for coming out and watching your government in action. Just a few things. Some of the, like I say, decisions that we make was hard. Put thought into it. With some of these board appointments, what we have to do, especially as a commission body, is to make sure we hold people accountable. So please, if you do sit on the board, be willing to work just as hard, and everybody be held accountable just like we should be held accountable. So it's tough. I think we need to get a better way of communicating. I know we've tried a whole lot of things. Clerk do her best, but it's got to be some type of better way that we can get this information out and hopefully get more people interested in get involved. Because the more folks get involved, I think the community will come back together. So we're looking forward for the rest of this year to get some things done, especially with the streets. don't know if, have those RFPs went out for the, street project, Mr. Manager, if it's okay, Mr. Mayor.
That is certainly permissible.
The spec sheets have been put together and they will be put out, probably Wednesday and go through the weekend. And then, like I said, we'll probably get started at the very latest, the last weekend this month.
Just keep on coming out and keeping the heat on us to get things done. So that's what we signed up for, and we're gonna do it. So
Thank you, Commissioner Ice.
Yes, thank you, Honorable Mayor. I'd like to thank the citizens coming out tonight, supporting us. You know, Public Works, you know, listen to all your concerns the other day at the public safety meeting. It was well listened to, you know, it was work, you know, good job. It was hard. It's hard. You put in the work. It pays off. Being a blue collar worker myself, I couldn't imagine not having paid holidays. You know, look forward to that. There you go. Enjoy your Christmases and Labor Days and stuff like that.
New raises.
There are RICO sites, you know. There are RICO sites. You know, like Commissioner Adams said, she spearheaded this thing. Started a long time ago. She put in the work. She did a great job getting all this put in place. She did a great job. She stayed constant, you know. She got me involved, so you know, I congratulate her on what she has done. I know she did it for the people. You know, I feel, you know, that she's put in the work. So she got that accomplished. There's a lot going on in the city. I can't wait for the roads again. Don't forget to visit your public library. It's very important. Don't forget to visit for yourself. Thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner Isom. Commissioner Adams.
Thank you. Mr. Ross Hadley, thank you. I remember when I drove back up into Benton Harbor, that beautiful flag, it was flying in the wind. It was a beautiful sight. And in spite of what others may think when they see Pledge of Allegiance going on, whether Commissioner Adams' lips are moving or not, if my heart is on my hand, on my heart or in my pocket, I have a great respect for my country. I have a father and a brother that served, and I honor the great one that we just lost, Captain James Turner. I just want to thank the residents for taking time out of your busy schedule, coming down to see what's going on and working for you or what's not. It's the only way to find out is to come and be involved. When I first came down here, I didn't understand because I didn't understand the rest of the city, Mr. Hadley. What's wrong? When I opened up a shop that's now a gas station on the corner of May and Colfax, they said, I don't know, you go find out. All they do down there is fight. I said, well, it got something to do with some money because everything looked like it's falling apart. So now that we're on our way to growth, hopefully we can get some Benton Harbor residents involved and fill out some applications to get on some of these boards and be a part of the process. We're not arguing, we're not fighting, we're taking care of business. And your help is needed for the growth of us all, not just downtown, but in the community too, and cleaning up in our own domain. I want to thank Ms. Todman. I had an opportunity to meet with her and Ms. Bertha King and the CEOs of Spectrum when they merged, when this meeting first took place, and got an opportunity to give some input on my community needs. It's my business to know what my community needs are when I go sit at these tables. I'm glad that she's been doing her homework. I'm glad that she knows the needs of our community. And I can't wait to see where this is going to go for the growth of those that are coming up behind us, the future leaders. of Benton Harbor, because we definitely deserve better. When you live in an impoverished community where there's stress, depression, no jobs, lack of everything, it's a sad state of affairs, and it takes a toll on your health. And we just happen to be a predominantly black community. And the last thing we need is to be chased down by officers like, not ours, but. But with all of this going on in the country, for that, I'm thankful that we don't have a lot of the other problems that some other communities do, because America as a whole is falling apart, crumbling. We have had 20-something applications to come in for medical marijuana, and we need more than one business going up. We need them all rising, because we got more than one pothole. Thank you.
Chair recognizes Commissioner Jones. Chair recognizes Commissioner Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. I want to thank the citizens for coming out, watching us in action. I want to ask my colleagues, it's been information I've been seeking, some for the last 2 months, some 3 months, about the new hires that city have now, and we have no information about it. Want to know if there's a contract, how much money they're being paid. And I ask you, colleagues, to help me get this information for us. It's been told to me that, oh, Commissioner, I'll get it to you the next week. 2 weeks. That was 2 weeks ago, and we don't have it yet. So, through the chair, when you ask the city manager, please give us that information so we'll know who's on board, how much they're getting paid, and what their job is.
Thank you.
Do I get an answer?
Mr. Manager, do you have that information at this time?
I do not. I don't have it in my possession at this current time.
Is there a time frame, a reasonable time frame that we might get this information?
It can be by the end of the week. What specifically, who specifically are you?
I don't know. You're the one that know who you hired and who's on board. We don't know. We need to know who you hired and how much they're being paid and what their job is. How can I tell you who's been hired? That's the question I'm asking you, sir.
When is the next personnel finance committee?
Wednesday.
Can you provide that information Wednesday?
I can do that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Hales.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the citizens for coming out, seeing your government in action on tonight. And one question I wanna know, how long the fireworks gonna keep going? Is there a time limit?
It's supposed to be.
It's supposed
to be.
Yes, Mr. Manager.
Director McGinnis or Deputy Director, they're a little bit more knowledgeable of that number. I think it has since passed.
Every year, we chase these every year.
All right, thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Seats.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor. Thank you, city residents, for coming out, and to staff and those who are here. I want to read a quote real quick. It says, young people want to learn. They're thirsty for knowledge. They want to understand and remember. The main thing is to teach them where not to go. Oppression, not to go. Dictatorship, not to go. Racism and prejudice, absolutely not to go. This is the moral plan for our society. My heart goes out to the family of Mr. James F.A. Turner. He came back to Benton Harbor after some years and tried to do the best he could. We're helping. you know, I see a lot, you know, of stuff that's kind of questionable. We think we're in better footing and better shape now than ever. And black kids are still treated the same way they've been treated when they walk the bridge. If we allow our people, you know, I was in a restaurant the other day and a mentally handicapped person came in and they tried to treat them some different because they were black and started making fun. So the reward was I fed them, and I don't need no pat on the back for that. But if we laugh with people when they're against your people, then you're no better than they are. Donald Trump just stated that the conditions that they're living in those migrant camps are not in deplorable condition. These people can't take showers, they're living on top of each other, just like slavery. For some wild reason, people are saying, well, if they don't want to go through that, then why they come to America like Trump's ancestors were here first?
Right. Right.
How are you treating people like you are the Lord of this country, and there's nothing but going back to where we came from in the 1800s. So don't smile and play games with that. And those who want to make America great again, the only way you're going to make America great again is if you treat the Vietnam veterans right. If you treat the military veterans right. You got homeless veterans. How are you going to make America great when the veterans are homeless? You got people who lost limbs and arms and fingers and eyes, and they fight them until they die. So they don't want to give them no benefits. You got Agent Orange and cancer and all these kind of things, and we laugh because we want to make America great again against a color instead of against what's right. And I heard a lot tonight, but if we don't prove anything, we need to start improving our educational system and educating our kids. We have to begin to educate our children and get them beyond this curriculum that starts at slavery. Our history did not start with Kunta Kinte changing his name to Toby. But that's the first thing they want to show your children because they want them to walk around and feel like even the bridge is something different when they walk. They got to walk with their head down when they see somebody else. We have to change that behavior. Because still, I see adults do the same thing when people show up. They start waving their hand and smiling and shaking and giving them everything they want just because they want to fit in. The only people who want to migrate was us. Don't nobody want to migrate with you. That's why they tearing down the houses in Benton. That's why it's scattered housing in Benton. Ain't nobody talking about building no grocery store. And I want to protect Ms. Todd. I think as a people, we should stand behind her because when Minister Louis Farrakhan started teaching something rough like that, men started gathering around him at the podium because they were scared for his life. And when you start speaking truth to power and saying, look, that's why they died, because of racist behavior, and it's not just racism and the local, it's political racism. And if we shake our head and say political racism does not exist in Berrien County, you're the lie, not the statistic.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'd like to thank all of the residents for coming out. I do echo the sentiments of my colleague as it relates to the presentation by Dr. Todman. And I look forward to hearing an extended presentation for the Planning Economic Development Committee. Appointments. I asked residents, I asked city commissioners to talk to your constituents in your ward at large and bring me names. Because we need people who are willing to volunteer and willing to get into the mix of government. This city commission is just one board. And studying Lyndon Johnson, he said that the real power is in the boards that surround government. And it's the same locally. The library board, the cemetery board, which we've had issues just getting a quorum. We've had issues getting a quorum for the board of review. We even were cited because we did not have a quorum on a very important date, because the Board of Review only meets a certain amount of time per year by charter. So it's very, very important, and I'm open to appointing people. They don't always have to agree with me. Commissioner, Mrs. Kennard, I've appointed her and approved by this body to many boards. So she's another person, it's not just Hansel, who has been faithful in being a part of the structure of government. She serves on the Dollaride Board, Income Tax Board. She was a member of the Planning Commission. So we need more people like that. Mr. Edwards is a part of the Sanitary Board now. So please, activism, volunteerism, one of the things that I learned from studying emergency management law, it was designed to destroy the motivation to govern yourself. So we're just coming out of it. So it's going to take some time to reinvigorate the community to govern themselves. I would like to commend Director McGinnis. I'm very encouraged about that chessboard.
Oh, what's a big whiz?
Well, the chess for the children, because the New York Times just had an article where it was 3 young black men that recognized as masters.
Yes.
So we have that at Benton Harbor. We have that talent and ability. It just has to be honed. In fact, they said the greatest chess player was not Bobby Fischer. They said it was a brother that was in prison who nobody could beat. He was black. But we invented chess, I should say. But I do want to close by saying Captain Turner, James F. Turner, he is at the Navy base in Spain. His body will be brought back to the city of Benton Harbor. And before we go into recess, I would like for us to just have a moment of silence in honor of Captain James F.A. Turner, who politically was a giant for the city of Benton Harbor as the second ward commissioner. And he served on many different boards, school boards. So I'd like to ask for a moment of silence. Thank you. I'd like to entertain a motion to go into closed session for the city manager evaluation. Motion made by Commissioner Adams, supported by Commissioner Ison. Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Adams?
Yes.
Commissioner Henry?
Yes.
Commissioner Singleton?
Yes.
Commissioner Ison?
Yes.
Commissioner Harrelson? Yes. Commissioner Jones?
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem C?
Yes.
Mayor Mohammed?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Thanks.